Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life with Shenita. I am Shenita Connolly, your host, and I want to thank you all for joining us each week for the weekly show. We hope that it is a blessing to you in more ways than one. Life with Shenita goal is to help people overcome life's challenges and to encourage them to live a vibrant life. In the meantime, we want to make sure you're equipped in every area of your life. So tonight, we're going to talk about money, something that is near and dear to everyone. Everyone either has it, wants it, don't have enough, have too much, whatever the case may be. Tonight, we're going to talk about it from a financial perspective, financial advisor, financial readiness, preparing for retirement, preparing for tragedies, money, for the love of money. So we have some amazing people who will be joining us. I'm excited to have Floyd Gantt from Edward Jones here in Fayetteville, Georgia. He is my financial advisor. He is a wealth of knowledge. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience in this area. He's been on the show several times. That's why he's back, because he brings so much substance to the conversation. And I have the honor and the pleasure tonight of having my niece and nephew, her husband. They are from Lafayette, Louisiana. And so they're going to speak to the perspective of being a married couple and money. How do you handle money? What are some tips, some advice that you can give as you're moving forward individually and collectively as a couple? So when we think about money, from a retirement perspective, I just want to just share a rule of thumb that I had the opportunity to kind of look up this evening. And it says retirement experts have offered various rules of thumbs about how much you need to save for retirement. Somewhere near $1 million. That's a lot of money, right? It seems like a lot. But if you're strategic, it may really not be a lot. So 80 to 90% of your annual pre-retirement income, 12 times your pre-retirement salary. But what's right for you? And how do you know if you're on track? So I'm hoping Mr. Floyd Gantt will be able to add some substance to that, some answers for you to that question as we talk about money, because when my husband had his heart attack, we did not do a good job in planning for him not being here. And so the reason why Life with Shenita started is to really help people avoid the pitfalls that I've had to go through. So that's why you see this platform, this mini series, these conversations, because it wasn't a good place. So I want you guys to be equipped with the tools and the information necessary to make different decisions. So without further delay, we're going to bring in Mr. Floyd Gantt. Good evening, Mr. Gantt.
Hello there. Hello there. Shenita,
How
good
are
to
you?
see you. I'm fantastic. How you doing?
Good. I am wonderful. I am wonderful. And I am going to bring in Mr. Marcus T. White. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Hey, how you doing today?
Good to have you. All the way from the bayou.
All the way from the bayou.
And good evening, Miss Kearia White.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Doing well.
Glad to have both of you guys, as well as Floyd Gantt, back again on the show. And I am so excited for us to talk about For the Love of Money. And Mr. Gantt, we're going to allow all of you guys to introduce yourself, but I typically start with the women, but I'm going to start with you, and then we're going to trickle back down to the whites. So Mr. Floyd Gantt, would you introduce yourself? Tell the audience about who you are and what you do.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see everybody. Good to meet Marcus, a colleague of me in Louisiana. Always good to see another African American doing and managing money. So I guess he's going to introduce himself on that. I've been in the business 13 plus years. My background, I graduated from one of our HBCU, the great Fort Valley State University in mathematics. And then I attended Clark Atlanta University. I did my MBA in finance. And I moved up to Connecticut, Shenita, worked for a couple of Fortune 500 companies for about 7+ years before I came back down to Georgia and I found my dream job, being a financial advisor, helping people. I've been, again, with the company 13 plus years, helping people with their budget, helping people going through different financial issues. Why do you need a financial advisor? Those are the kind of questions I always answer. I thought about the $1 million you said. Is that enough? I don't know. 1 million is enough, right? We need to talk about that. How much does it take for people to live off interest? Do you have Social Security? When should you take Social Security? You know, I always advise clients at 65. 65 is that magical number at minimal, because when Medicare kicks in. Do we understand Medicare? So many pieces to this puzzle, and we have so many individuals that come across our desk that we have so many battles they fight that we try to resolve those issues. We've been through a pandemic. It's been pretty rough this past year. Market went down. Market went down a huge percentage, over 30-some%. But do you know that year to date, the S&P ended up at 16% year to date? S&P considered the stock market bounced back. Those who took money out got lost in the shuffle. How do we stop that process? How do we understand that if you were not a part of the market, unfortunately, it's called a K curve, that we face certain issues, that some people are without work right now. So you didn't have money, you didn't make money. And if you took money out, you were without money. Those are the things that I think you do a good job of highlighting, and why it's important that we talk about financial issues here on this show and many shows as we move forward. So that's my background. I've been in the business, love what I do, and I try to reach out to different people across the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have a beautiful wife and little princess.
Yes, I do. So family-wise, they're not on the call. Well, we keep it simple though. Wife is fantastic. She's a school counselor, and she has her own company. And my little girl who runs the household is 5 years old, Miss Chloe Parker Gantt, and she has and let's say that she has her own clothing company. That's how popular she is.
Yes. She is definitely doing her thing. I love your
She has a
post. I
clothing
love
company.
watching her over the years. So thank you so much for what you do to help so many people. And
Thank
now
you.
we'll bring in Mr. Marcus T. White. Would you introduce yourself to the audience?
I'm Marcus T. White, and I'm in finance, and I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, and that's my lovely wife on the call also. And I'm a proud Grambling State graduate.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, and thank you for being here and sharing with the audience what it's like to be a married couple in this world of finance, how all that ties in together. So, yes. So last but certainly not least, Ms. Kearia White, would you please share with the audience a little bit about yourself?
Of course. My name is Kearia McCants White. I'm married to Marcus White. I am from Baton Rouge. I am a CPA and work as an internal auditor. And I'm glad to be here and share some tips that Marcus and I use as a married couple to live within our means.
Yes, I love it. And you actually are. Did I miss you saying you're a CPA?
No, you did not miss it. I am a certified public accountant and an internal audit supervisor. So,
awesome.
Those money people.
Yes. So we are talking to some amazing individuals here tonight. So I'm hoping that you, the audience, will take out your pen and paper and will jot down valuable information that you will be able to refer to later. And you will be able to contact these individuals. Floyd is here in Atlanta. And so Floyd, let's talk about, you mentioned a little bit about being a financial advisor, but what does that look like today? Meeting with a financial advisor, having a financial advisor, what does that look like?
Yes, great question, Shenita. And, you know, some people get scared, but I tell people this way. If you think about a doctor, right, medical doctor, you're not going to do your own medical work on yourself. Hopefully not, right? Now,
Right.
remedy from home. A spiritual leader, we love to read the Bible, but sometimes we go out and get extra help from other individuals. Well, that's why in our community, especially in a diverse community, I'm always going to tell people you need financial help. Understand the different products, understand the different ideas and things that you can go about doing. Do you know what a Roth IRA is? Do you know what a 401k and the things you should be doing, what a match is? Do you have the right insurance for you? These questions always come into place. You know, I talked about my degrees. I went to Fort Valley University, I had a mathematics degree. I got my MBA, Master of Business Administration from the great Clark, Atlanta. I also have another Master's of Accounting and Taxation degree from the University of Hartford. All those degrees, and I knew nothing about financial services. Think about that. The schools are keeping you down, not making you understand different products out there to help you grow wealth. Is that on purpose? I think it is, right? They don't want you to understand all the knowledge that you need to understand to grow. So not only should you be looking out for help, you reach out to people like myself and other people in the industry to guide you on your way so you can have a roadmap. What I tell my people, Shenita, I'm here to give you opinions, okay? I'm not going to tell you what you should do exactly, but I'm going to find out who you are, and I'm going to give you my opinion on which way you should go. And we're going to partner together to make sure that we come up with something so we can reach that goal for you, whether it's 6'5", whether it's 67, whatever that goal, I want to make sure you have enough money that you can live comfortable. And the point is, I need to tell you the truth, because if you need to know that if you're going to reach this number by you putting up only $300 in your retirement each month, you're only going to have this amount. I can't make, like, it's not like Jack and the Beanstalk. It's just going to all of a sudden come about. We got to make sure that these magical beans got some weight behind it, right? So I need to make sure that you see numbers, because I'm a numbers man. That if you put up this amount, you're going to have this amount, and then you're going to live off the interest. So if that's $1 million that you spoke about before, the most I could give you is 5%. That's $50,000 a year. Don't want you going over that. Marcus may understand that point. He's laughing at it. He probably understand that real quick. 4% of what I want to keep you, but 50,000, I don't want you to go over. Then we're going to count Social Security. So if you had an average job making 100,000, maybe you have Social Security around 2,000 plus. We're going to add that to the formula. Do you have a pension plan, right? We're going to add that all together and make sure you can live comfortable. You say, well, $1 million, I should be getting 200,000 a year. No, because that 200,000 would disappear before you leave this earth, and we never want that to happen. Plus, I believe in legacy, so we need to be realistic in what we're doing. We need to understand how it works. And by the way, if 6'5" is your retirement goal or 6'7" is your retirement goal, maybe you should pay off of the house at the same time if you're going to live there for the rest of your life. These are the things that we all put together where you need somebody to come talk to make sure that we understand all those things you haven't thought about. And guess how much it costs you, Shenita?
How much?
Nothing, right? It don't cost you anything to come talk. $0, right? $0 to come talk and get a financial plan for the rest of your life to understand those things. Financial advisors, in the most part, they make money off whatever you invest in, So whether you do it on your own or you do it with someone, you're usually paying somebody. You might as well be finding somebody you can work with and partner with. So you need to understand those particular avenues so you can reach where you need to reach. Too many of us sit aside, put so much money in our bank account. I'm not talking about the ones who spend money every month. Those people we can't help, right? I can't work the magic. You don't save any money. But those who put money up, I don't want that money sitting in a savings account paying 0.05%. We went through a pandemic. Federal Reserve dropped the rates that's the rates that people borrow at. They dropped it at 0.050% for what the banks borrow at. That means if you go to your local bank account, you put $100,000 in there, you may make $500 for the year. You may make $50 for the year. Think about that. Now you may make nothing. That's why you can't leave in the bank, and they're probably not going to raise rates to 1 year. That's why we can't leave it there. We got to let money continue to grow. Those are the things that I really stress while we have to have a financial advisor. We need another partner, just like we have a spiritual leader and a medical doctor. Find your financial leader out there for yourself.
Yes, that's good. That's good. You and I actually just had a conversation about what you suggest I should do.
Yes,
so,
yes.
You know, at 56 years old, I'm 56 years old, and I'm on the other side of the spectrum where I should have been planning long time ago. but we did come up with a little game plan
Yes.
for me. And so it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your dollars, it matters that you take action. So that's the key here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Set up a corner. Marcus, would you like to add to that?
From a couple standpoint, with me being younger, in my peer group, I have learned that a lot of people aren't putting a plan together because they think they may not get old or they're living too much in the moment. And, you know, I talk to people every day that end up having a situation to where they say, man, I wish I would have knew this a long time ago. So the big thing that me and my wife pride ourselves on is transparency and setting goals that we both want to achieve. So, you know, it's easier to push a car when two people pushing it up a hill rather than one sitting in the car and one pushing. You know, if we got the same direction and understand, you know, where we're trying to go, then we'll get there. But a lot of people don't have a plan on where they're trying to go. You know, me and my wife have personal financial plans, health plans, all type of things like that. And we work together to accomplish those goals. And we say, okay, this is where we're trying to go. This is what we need to do to get there. And a lot of times people in our age group, they're not focused on that and they're just blowing through money and they're living outside their means. One of the big things that me and my wife talked about right before we got married was living out of one income. And most people think that was crazy, you know. And then we came up with a stricter way and said, okay, well, we're going to live out of the lesser income, you know, to even make it more tighter. And if you tell the average person that, they're going to look at you like, man, ain't no way. But it's all about how are you living right now like no one else so you can live like no one else tomorrow.
I love it. I love it. You know, I never heard that thought process until a preacher said it. And I thought that was such a wonderful idea. We have two incomes. Let's live on whichever one you decide. And I like the idea of living on the least versus the most and banking the other. And you can imagine, and I like to give numbers to people. So if we have a $40,000 salary and we have a $50,000 salary and we're going to live off of 40, so we're going to bank 50 for 4 years. How much is that? 200,000. So we're $1 million to get to $1 million. How many years would that be, Floyd? Kearia?
Well,
just hypothetically, I need you guys to give me some years. You know, so it takes 4 years to get to 400. I mean, 200,000.
So you got 40. You got 5 years to get to 200,000, right? And then you got 4 more. You got 4 more times that, so that'd be like 20, right?
Okay, so we could get to $1 million in 20 years.
That's what I'm thinking on top of my head, just running through it.
Just off the top of our head. Okay. So I just want to give people a picture. And sometimes people like to see it. They like to be able to see, is that reasonable? Can I reach that? So I like that. And you're now how old? Let's give them an age. You're 20?
So me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm 33.
Okay. So in 20 years, you'll be 53.
Yeah, and still
young and vibrant, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just like this. I just like to make sure people understand that it's feasible. You can get there.
It'd be 25. Be 25. Excuse me. 25
years.
Yeah.
Still be young and vibrant, especially if you start younger, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all about time. It's all about time. You know, to make up for it, because if you know, a lot of people may tell you, hey, I want to go to New York, right? Mm-hmm. If a person tell me they want to go to New York, I'm going to ask them, okay, how are you getting there? Are you taking a boat? Well, you can't take a boat. Can you take a train? Can you take a plane? Mm-hmm. And if I ask them and they say, well, I'm going to take a plane, I ask them, okay, what airline you flying on? Mm-hmm. And they can't tell me that. And then I say, okay, when do you leave? And they say, well, I ain't bought my ticket yet. My chances of believing that they possibly are going to New York are going to decrease, because they haven't came up with a plan to get to New York. And that's how simple it is with finances, when a lot of people living without a plan. You know, so you have to plan it out. And that's why the example that he just gave you about the $1 million in 25 years is very important. A lot of people don't have the type of patience. And then who's going to say that $1 million is going to be enough? Because a lot of people, you know, haven't calculated those numbers.
Mhm. And that's why it's so important to sit down with a financial advisor. Floyd Gantt is right here in Fayetteville, Georgia. I think they're doing a lot of virtual visits, so you don't even have to take a risk in coming in to the office to see him. You can have it done virtually. Kearia, would you like to add to the value of having a financial advisor?
Definitely. Kind of piggybacking on Marcus's statement, that we agreed to live off of one income before we got married. So what we do with the other income is actually invested, and you need a financial advisor to do that. So I do think that that comes in handy. It's very important. There may be some things that you have a basic knowledge of, saving, but like Mr. Floyd Gantt said, a savings account at the bank is less than 1%. So you never know all of the money that you can be missing on. Some people also may think, oh, I don't have enough money to be investing. You don't have to have a certain amount to invest. Start with something and eventually grow until you get where you're comfortable with. So.
And I want to make a comment on that. First of all, they are a perfect couple because one is a CPA and one's doing financial advisor. That's like the best of both worlds. Cause I use a lot of my CPAs for referrals, so that's like I can see where y'all managing money. The other thing I want to tell you about time value of money, because you did a raw analysis of putting 40,000 up, and that's 25 years to get to $1 million. So I'm a numbers man. So I was thinking about way beyond that, because that's not important. It's not, just like Marcus said, people ain't gonna put up money because they think, I got people every day to my Bitcoin, this, and cryptocurrency, because they want the cheap way out instead of buying in Walmart, Target, and just reliable companies such as Amazon. Amazon, you did double-digit growth in the last plus 10 years. You don't have to worry about a Jeff Bezos company and the other things. But people want a short way. But if you put up money, I put up $3,333 a month. That's $40,000 a year. Okay, time value money. This is how it works. If I do it 7%, if I'm making 7% per year, that's an average rate of return. I could make that 7. It's going to take me 173 months to get to $1 million. Okay, 173 months to get to $1 million. If I divide that 173 months that we talked about, let me do that real quick here. Calculate 173 divided into 12. That's 14 years. Oh, so we just went from 25 to 14 years just because we put up money into average investments. Nothing drastic. A modified portfolio, we call it moderate. 60% of the market, 40% safe. 60% market, 40% safe. You look to make 5 to 7%. If we made 7%, we cut that 25 years down to what? 14. That 25 years represents a savings account. That's the same thing it represents. If I put money in, I ain't putting money in a savings account. It took me 25 years. But I'll put money in just general investments. I just knocked down 9 years. Wow. 11 years. 11 years. Yeah. Well, time value of money.
I love
That's why money grows, but you got to save money to make the money grow. So those what we look at, putting the money up. I not only want you to put it up, now you need to come and invest it.
Right. And I know, we've talked about, Floyd, we've talked about the emergency fund, the rainy day fund. We've talked about the 3 to 6 month savings just in case something happens. And this is a perfect climate that we're living in today where all of those things need to be in place. Kearia, would you like to, share some tips as it relates to, making sure that we have the rainy day fund or making sure we have the emergency fund?
Sure. So I know a recommended savings is 3 to 6 months, just in case something happens with your job or something comes up. And I would probably suggest for that to open up a savings account just because it's easy to access if there needs to be a withdrawal. However, anything above that, in addition to that, saving in an investment account is very important. But, there may be some people that's watching that may be in a situation where they don't have enough money to save for that rainy day. Some tips I would say is to maybe create a hobby or, make a hobby profitable, or maybe get a side job if, you see that you have a goal and you need to reach that. So those are multiple ways that you can reach that goal. so you can be able to live within your means and reach those financial goals.
Absolutely. And when you said, create a hobby, if you cook or if you bake, that's a suggestion. If you clean homes, you can, come up with a business. There's so many ideas, so many ways. You can have garage sales in your home. Particularly being in this climate that we're in, I realize that I have too much stuff. And so when we have too much stuff, how do we get rid of the stuff? We organize it, and somebody else will think that it's valuable to them. And who knows, you can come up with that $1,000 rainy day or emergency fund really quickly with, some just those suggestions. Floyd, would you like to add to that in terms of, the rainy day, the sun, the emergency fund, saving for 3 to 6 months, if not longer, in this climate?
Thanks, Shenita. And I appreciate the information Kearia gave us. But I'm gonna tell you, from my standpoint, I use a philosophy I've been using for a long time with me, and I help a lot of clients out with this. So I call it short term versus long term. Short term versus long term. And really, my short term account, I tell people 1 year or less. This money you keep 1 year or less. I really don't want to go over 10,000. So I tell 3 to 10,000 for a typical short term account. I know people say 6 months and 3 months of pay, but the way I look at it is, short term is emergency money. A car may go out, engine may go out 3,000. If you need 10,000, that's fine. But I don't want 30 or 40 sitting in a savings account for 2 or 3 years not making any interest. The second part of it is long term, 1 year or greater. I tell all my clients that. I have a lot of clients, even though they may know nothing about the stock market, they put money in what we call corporate bonds, tax-free bond, municipal bonds. I teach them those particular things. Corporate bonds, you earn about 3 to 5%. That's when you let a corporation like Home Depot or Walmart borrow your money. As long as they're still standing, they're going to continue to give you that rate of return. That rate of return is pretty secure because Home Depot will have to go completely out of business and close every last door. So you probably got over 90% chance of always keeping your money because Home Depot is not going anywhere. We want you to feel comfortable in that because they pay you a lot more than a CD, certificate of deposit. But that interest you make, you can continue to gain money. So I want you to leave it there for at least 1 year to make your money back and let it continue to what? Grow. What I don't want is 30, 40, 50, 100,000, 200,000 sitting in a savings account for 5 years and you made no interest. We can always put you in something that make a little bit more money. And if you ever need the money out, it takes 4 days to withdraw with any investment, okay? It just takes 3 days to get out, and the 4th day should be in your account. That's the plan. Let's don't leave money sitting there, never make any interest. There's always something we can make. So that budget part is important, but let's only leave the things we really need in what we call money market, short-term CDs, or savings checking. The rest of it, put it up because we need every dime. We need all the interest we can receive in life because we never know when that special rainy day, and that special rainy day is the kids bothering you, right? The the grandkids coming to you, right, Shenita, and say, hey, I need grandma to help me out, or and so on. So we need those things we're going to come back later on. So we need as much. Let's don't leave it, and definitely don't leave it in your backyard, right? You need to dig it up, put it somewhere else.
Right. Marcus, would you like to chime in on that?
Yeah, some people do 3 to 6 months. Some people, it's all about their safety and net. I feel like with us, we have a lot of stuff going on business-wise. So it's different money allocated for different reasons in the sense of business and things like that. But you have to, I agree with Floyd, and that's why it's important for people that's listening to go talk to Floyd, because you have to determine what's your long and short-term money. Because if you don't have the short-term money, you're going to end up saying, okay, well, Floyd, I'm going to put this in something for a year, and then you're going to call Floyd and say you need the money. Mm-hmm. Or, you're going to have too much money in short-term money, and you're going to not be growing your money enough. So that's why it's so important to end up talking to a professional like Floyd to get a clear understanding on what you need to do and what is your overall strategy and plan, because it's personalized for everybody. And a lot of times people are dealing with companies that don't offer personal service like Floyd or the one-on-one personalized strategy, and they don't ever even talk to their advisor. And so, what type of service are you actually getting? So it's all about their personalized strategy.
Absolutely. And that's definitely what Floyd offers personalized, sit down with me, let's talk about it. Let's come up with a plan, a game plan. So you guys are on point. I want to ask you, Kearia and Marcus, as a couple, what are some additional practical tips, suggestions that you guys have used that you can share with couples out there as it relates to money?
Okay, I'll go first. I would say number one, create a budget. I know that the word budget kind of scares people, but it's always better to tell your money where to go rather than your money tell you where to go. So before maybe creating and sitting down and having a budget, before you even do that, it may be best to keep track of what you actually spend to know what categories should be appropriately allocated. So if you see that you're spending $500 on eating out every month, you may not have realized that had you not kept up with the tracking of that spending. So I would say, number one, keep up with the tracking of your spending. Number two, create a budget. I would say number three, have that conversation frequently with your spouse. So we actually talk about money all the time. Of course, you can imagine because of our backgrounds, but we also want to just make sure that we're both on the same page financially. So if we see that, okay, we're spending too much money in this category, we need to cut back a little, or, you know, we have enough to do whatever, do something extra, you know, we're on the same page with that. And just because you create a budget does not mean that you can't do anything. So we actually have a line item for both of us separately. So fun, we call it fun money, Kearia, fun money, Marcus. So it doesn't mean that you have to be, you know, so strict and you can't do anything on your own. You can create line items for date night. That can be something that you do once a month, twice a month, whatever you may, you know, fit your schedule. But it doesn't mean that you have to be so strict. You know, as long as it's in the budget, you can, of course, do that. And it's going to be flexible. You don't have to spend it down to the penny, but it just kind of gives you a plan to where if you're trying to reach a certain goal or not trying to live without of your means, this kind of just keeps you on that plan. Something else I would suggest is to over communicate. So if you're trying to purchase something that's above a certain threshold, maybe come up with that threshold together and say, hey, honey, you know, hey, honey, there's something that I want to purchase above this certain amount, you know, and just talk about it. If it fits the budget, if you need to save for a couple of months, then so be it. But just make sure you communicate and just make sure that everyone's on that same page. So I'll hand it over to you, honey. Sorry, Marcus.
I think some of the biggest things is transparency or whatnot, because a lot of people try to hide stuff and being upfront on what you're trying to achieve. And if you're saying, okay, we're going to buy a vehicle in a year or two, y'all discuss it. And then also directing whose job is going to be what. Because like in our household, Kearia can keep up with everything. You know, she detail, she update the budget almost every day. You know,
I do.
and so, you know, we at the point where we have it on the spreadsheet and track everything to know the percentages on what goes where. But a person don't have to even be that detailed. They can just write it on the back of a cereal box if they wanted to. But it's all about keeping up with what you're doing and how you're doing it. Like me, I grew up with nothing, so I can live off bare minimum. I promise you. You know, but some people aren't like that, and some people need time to get their nails done or to go on vacation and things like that, and to plan those things out. Because once somebody start lying or you feeling like someone is not trustworthy, you know, that stuff go a whole nother direction.
That's a good point. Trustworthiness in a relationship pertaining to money, that is so key, because it will tear a marriage and a relationship apart. Floyd, you want to chime in on that?
I thought they said it perfect. Kearia, you had a comment that you wanted to bring up before I talk?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a disclaimer. I know that everybody may not have the availability and time to keep up with their spending like I do. I just want to make sure you don't have to keep track of everything on Excel. There's apps that keep track of everything, even writing everything on like a note, flashcard, just as long as you're keeping up with the spending. So I am a very detailed person, and I work in Excel every day. So that's how I'm able to keep up with that and be so detailed. So I just wanted to make sure.
They say through that disclosure out for it. Okay, we
Yes.
got you. We got you. Yeah. I'm cooler than that, husband. I'm cooler than that. I am impressed. I do the Excel spreadsheet and I do all the finances in the household. That's not my spouse. That's not my spouse looking at that. but she does budget in a sense. I will tell you this. I'll take it from an office perspective. Okay. Woman or man come in my office, married couple come in the office, question to the panel, who is running a household? Is it that woman or is it that man? Who's running the finances in that relationship? Who do you all think?
You're talking about people at your office? Or
Yeah, just people, period. Yeah, just in general, who do you think? I'm talking about my office, but this is a general question. Usually in a household, who do you think is running the finances? The woman or the man? The wife or the husband?
The one not talking that much.
The one what, Marcus?
Not talking that much.
Yeah, the one not talking that much.
I would say the husband probably.
You said the husband, and Shenita, what do you say?
I would say the husband, just based on tradition.
All right. How about I told you all, and I don't know how Marcus, but 70% of my clientele are women. They usually run the household finances. And that's surprising, right? But the man is doing the work. The woman cares about what the Roth is, making sure you save, making sure you're doing the things that you have to do. They're usually the ones. So when I'm in a meeting, at typical times, they're the ones who making sure they care about the future more than that man at a time who say, I just work and bring home the money. While the woman is very precise, like Kearia is like, hey, we need to make sure baby, the two doctors, got one's a doctor, one's a nurse. The nurse up there making sure the doctor, who's the man, that has enough money that baby, you're going to retire one day. You may not have that much. He's not putting everything in the 401k. He's making the most money, but she's ensuring that he's doing the right thing. So it's interesting. I don't know what the particular numbers is across the board in the nation, but just looking from a small micro is the women that usually do that. But I think it's always important out of a household to have a good yoke, right? So you all talking about having a yoke. It got to be some yin and yang. However y'all do it, both of y'all cannot say we're not going to budget. Right? It's not going to work, right? Somebody got to give, Now, somebody may be a little bit tough on the other one, somebody may be a little bit analytical, but it got to have be some give. So I love to see that, even though both of y'all seem similar in nature, can save and do things, one's a little bit more analytical than the other, and that seems to work for them. You got to figure out what works for you. And the worst scenario is not to be involved at all. I think everybody has to be involved. Now I'm gonna say this, Shenita, this works in what we talked about with yourself. Anything, understand what your finances. Don't think that man bringing home the bacon and he got a huge 401k plan waiting for you, or anybody. I know you talk to a lot of people who have lost their spouses, and we know a lot of people that you work with, Shenita, on that. We got to participate in the financial meetings. Like when they come see you, Marcus, they need to participate. They go see somebody else. They see myself. We need to participate, because if you don't participate and something happens to that spouse, even if they did have money, sometimes you don't know what to do with it. You're not aware. So that's the biggest thing I see. It needs to be two couples like them working. It needs to be a couple working together, and nobody needs to sit at home and say, hey, I'm going to let you handle all the finances. I don't know anything.
Absolutely. Because I've heard some stories of people who did not know certain accounts existed.
And plus, you don't want to know that, the other reason, right? The other reason, because if something happens where you all are not going to be happy,
right,
in
absolutely.
the future, and if you don't know the accounts, those accounts don't come to you.
And that's why it's so important for this area as it relates to getting your affairs in order, making sure that you have a game plan for your money for the future, making sure that it's all listed, all the accounts, somebody's aware. You know, what's on the job, what's away from the job, where they exist. All of that matters as we're talking about getting our affairs in order. So let's talk a little bit about investments again, or retirement. Floyd, can you give, some suggestions, additional suggestions to the audience if they're at, say, my age, 50 or older? What benefits to them to come sit down with you? Additional benefits. What should they be thinking about?
Man, you don't look 50 and older. I was going to say 40 older, but we'll go with 50 just for
Thank you.
hypothetical, right? We'll go 50 older for hypothetical. Yeah.
I love those compliments. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so hypothetical, right? All right. So
Yes.
a person 50 and older, we want to set a goal. So it's not too late, but we started late, right? Let's say it started with $0. You got to make some tough decisions in life, right? We got to set that goal. So first goal I'm going to tell you to set is, what is your retirement goal? So you have something in your mind. Let's say 6'5". I always start that with that as a minimum, because that's when Medicare kicks in. Medicare kicks in at 6'5", and Social Security, you get about 92% of it if you decide to retire. Now, your ultimate goal is usually 67, 6'7", okay? Because you get full Social Security. But we set a minimum goal of 6'5". So let's say you're 50 years old. That's 15 years to get what you have to get. I have to be realistic with you. You're behind the 8 ball, but we want to make sure that you start saving. Do you have any rental homes? We need to see everything you have, because you need to get all those pieces together. If you got a rental home, are you going to use that for retirement? How much of your top income? People, look at socialsecurity.gov, socialsecurity.gov. I have some educators who don't take out for Social Security in their county. Well, you may still have another job that you have enough credits that you're going to receive Social Security. So you need to go look at socialsecurity.gov to know what you're going to receive. Top pays around 140,000 in Social Security. You get the maximum pay on it. Around 138 to 140, you get the maximum pay, but you need to know where you receive. They don't send you those envelopes no more. But have an idea. As far as investments is concerned, once we get started, whether you're working for a W-2 for a company, we need you to do that 401k plan. I need you to start that 401k plan. You haven't started it. I tell my clients to do at least 10%. Spiritually, the Lord says give 10% to the church. Why don't give 10% to what? Yourself. Usually companies, over 90% of the companies match between 2 to 6%. So at minimum, you do 6%, but I want you to do 10 because you need to give it to yourself. Now, if you have any extra money, number 2 on that list is going to be a Roth, as long as you qualify, ROTH, IRA. That's after-tax money that grows tax-free. Those are the 2 things for your retirement account. So you got to get started. Once we start putting money in that, we set goals. 7% rate of return is going to give us a certain amount of money. Once we reach that a certain amount of money, we get ready to retire, you're going to live off the what? The interest of that money. You don't take all of it. That's going to be the interest. Then we're going to count your Social Security, pension, any rental homes, any part-time jobs. That's your life, okay? If you got a business, you need to sell it. We need to have all that in the formula so you can get at least the idea of the things you need to do as you prepare. So it's never too late, but you may need to pay that house off. You may need to get those you need to get the credit card bills down. You have to start preparing, because we're already behind the 8 ball because you were not saving at 30 and 20 years of age.
I love it. That's a good. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Kearia.
Go ahead, Kearia.
I would just like to add about the 401k that Mr. Floyd Gantt just mentioned about. Some people may get raises every year based on, my mind just went blank, based on inflation. So something that we do is whenever we get a raise, we increase the percentage in the 401k. So it's still like we're getting our normal pay, but we're increasing our investment in the 401k. So in the long run, you'll have a lot more, even if it's above the matching that your employer may provide.
Yeah,
so
Kearia brings up a good point, and I would piggyback off that for you, Marcus. You all probably do this. Kearia, sometimes they have it in the system already where you could take it up by 1 or 2% automatically.
Yep, that's another good consideration.
That's good, because you set it up, you don't even know what's coming out, and you're getting used to that budget. That's right, Marcus. And so, quick thing to piggyback off that, Marcus could tell you, but I'll tell you the same thing. 401k, 50 and under, 19.5. That's the most you can put in. Listen, it works. And 26,000 for you 50 and older. Okay, so you're under 50, 19.5, 19,500. Now, why would you go over the match? Because of taxes. Let's say you're in a 20% federal tax rate plus 5% state. That's 25%. For every 10,000 you put up, you're going to save 2,500 on taxes. Did you just hear what I just said? You're going to save 2,500 on taxes. That's right off the bottom line. That's the money you save. 20,000, you just save $5,000 worth of taxes if you in the 25% tax bracket. And that's money in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you not max out your 401k plan if you have the money?
Awesome. I'm telling you, for the love of money.
You got my number mind thinking now. I'm ready to bring up my calculator and go like this, up and down. They got numbers thinking now. How these numbers work? Love
that's
numbers
why
now.
I say this topic is so popular. It really needs to be a part 1 and a part 2 because there's so much to talk about. It needs to be the audience. And I suggest to you guys to schedule an appointment with Floyd. His information is there. Have the conversation with him. It doesn't cost you anything. Come up with your game plan for your future, for our future. Talk about life insurance. I know we talked about it last week, but can you just touch on it a little bit? I know you offer that as a product also. Mm-hmm. Floyd, can you share just a little bit about whole life versus permanent or term or what have you?
All right, so I just did some life insurance day. I would tell you this. So first of all, you got to know what it is. How do people sell it? So financial advisors such as Marcus and myself, we have the ability to sell and display products across the board. So that means Roth, mutual funds, stocks, and bonds, or we could do life insurance. If they work for a particular insurance company or they're independent insurance, all they could do is insurance or annuities. So that's give us the ability to kind of do everything. That's the kind of difference in there. Not saying it's bad, but some people that specialize in insurance, we kind of do the whole gambit of it. So that's the difference between a financial advisor and just a person who sells insurance. Thing I always tell people this, and I don't want to hold it long, but I'm gonna break it down real quickly for you here. Term, all young people need to do term no matter what. No matter what, do term, okay? Term versus permanent. You say, why Floyd is going to disappear? I don't care if it disappears because term is a cheap way to put insurance in. $500,000 death benefit, $250 start off with, $500,000, $1 million. It's going to be cheaper, and the rest of your money should be going to your 401k and Roth. By the next 20 or 30 years, when that life insurance is over with, you don't need that life insurance no more because you have $1 million sitting in there, 401k, Roth IRA, or your non-qualified account. That's why you do term. Plus, all the terms, Marcus, you can contest to this, all the new terms, especially the one we have, you have a 20 years, you can make it permanent without any questions asked. Now, listen to what I said. You can make it a permanent policy in 20 years. So if you got sick and you say, I need that life insurance to last a lifetime, you can turn it into a permanent policy. And they'll take your health from the beginning and use that health when you took the test, and you won't have to take the test again. So you always go term. You see the knowledge I just threw out there? You always go term as a young person. All right, that's term. Permanent is for my people with a lot of money, my consultants, my doctors, my independent people. I call it an alert. I'm not going to get into details about it. Life insurance retirement plan. That's when you overfund the life insurance, and in the future, you pull out what we call cash value. Cash value, so that's people that are making a lot of money. They don't know what to do. They're maxing out their 401k plan. They can't do a Roth. They put into a life insurance and they pull that money out down the road. I want you to be 45 or younger. It's for my young doctors. It's for my consultants that's making $150,000, $200,000 or more, 300, 400. They just say they got to put up money because they're maxing out their 401k plans. You do something called alert. But the biggest plan I do for a lot of my retirees is called my legacy policies. Shenita, you sitting there, you got all the money in the world coming to you. You got too much money. You said, Floyd, I got $5,000 or $6,000 I'm not even using. Shenita, why don't we take that money you have and give it to those great grandchildren that you have, or that nephew or niece or whoever you want to leave it for, tax free? You're not using that $5,000, so let's put in a life insurance policy. I call it my legacy, and your net worth, you may be worth $1 million, but we'll put into the insurance policy. We're gonna add another $400,000 to that what? Mm-hmm. To that net worth. Now you're worth 1.4. When you leave this earth, they get that money tax free. That's for only people that don't need the money, but I have a lot of people that are not touching all their money. Why don't we take that money and make even more money for beneficiaries of people that you want to leave money for? So that's the difference. Term, permanent, we went pretty deep on it, but everybody get term unless, to me, using it for particular reasons, legacy, or you making a lot of money for income.
Awesome. I'm hoping that people are jotting down notes, writing notes. I didn't get a chance to look in the comments on the post, but Kearia, if you see any questions out there, would you please let us know? I know we're closing in on the time. It's about 7:50. Marcus, did you want to add to that while Kearia kind of checks to see if there are any questions out there?
Not really. Everything he said was very valid and very true. The only thing that I wanted to add is that, a lot of people act like they're going to live forever, and they don't want to properly plan to say, okay, we're married, but I want my wife to still be able to afford the lifestyle we have when I'm gone and have a sense of income replacement. So that's why it's important to talk to a professional like Floyd to understand that it's a bigger picture at play. Because if I make $300,000 a year and then my wife make $300,000 a year, and then one of us pass, that's $300,000 that's gone. So how we gonna replace that? How we gonna make it? If you haven't taken the right precautions, because by the time you get to your retirement age, if you do everything that someone like Floyd tell you to do, you can be your own insurance policy and take care of all of these things yourself. But a lot of people, don't want to strategize that far until they start talking to a financial advisor. Then they realize, oh, the world bigger than what it is.
And I'm so glad that you said that. When the income is extracted, what is the game plan? And that's what happened with me and my deceased husband. We knew to sit down with Floyd, but we were busy doing life and we didn't make the time to sit down and talk with him. So that's how I ended up in this predicament that I was in, because we were too busy doing life. So this is a journey of from pain to purpose. The reason this show is existing is I went from pain to purpose in an effort to help other people avoid those pitfalls. And that's just a perfect example of why we're doing this show. And so I'm grateful that you said that. And I'm hoping people really are listening with 2 ears. And that it will take them to the next level of doing what's necessary for themselves and those people that they leave behind. So as we prepare to close down, I definitely want to ask you guys to share a closing piece of advice. And I'm going to start with Kearia. A closing piece of advice for the audience. If you didn't see any questions, did you see any questions?
No, ma'am, I didn't see any.
Okay, all right.
I do have 2 tips. I'll try not to be long. One would be to start teaching your kids about saving early. So I can say that I was blessed with that and being introduced to managing money and saving at a very young age. So when I started working with my dad, he made me save half of my check. So even though I didn't have any bills, I still had to save half of it in the savings account, and I got to do whatever I wanted to with the rest. But just kind of getting that mental state very early on. So, when you do have a job, when you do have real responsibilities, you're already in the mindset of saving. Another thing is to involve the kids in the budget meetings. So whenever you do have budget meetings with your spouse, to a certain extent that you would like to involve them, just make sure that they're involved and they see, oh, okay, we need to have a budget meeting. So when they get of age, they know, okay, this is something that we need to do so we can communicate as a family and, reach our financial goals. So those are my last 2 tips, and thank you for having us.
Yes, those are great tips, because the kids need to understand early, and it happens in the home. And so what a better place than with mom and dad showing them how this thing called money is handled. So thank you for that. Marcus, the other half of Team White.
I just got 2 words: priority and action. What is going to be your priority and what is going to be your action? Because an hour of your time to have a budget meeting with your spouse, or an hour of your time just to talk to Floyd on the phone or a Zoom call, can change your entire mindset and your goals. Because life is a game of knowledge, and it don't cost you anything to sit down with Floyd and have that conversation, and you grow the relationship and grow the knowledge that you have from there. But you got to take action, because Floyd can give you all the information you want, but if you don't take action on what he's telling you, what he's telling you, what exactly are you accomplishing? So I'll leave you with priority and action.
I love it. Priority and action. What is your priority and what are you going to do to make it happen?
Correct.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Floyd, I want you to share some closing thoughts with the audience.
First of all, I love that the budget meeting with the kids. That's great. I'm gonna use that for my clients. Who does that? That's fantastic. I love it. No excuses, right? No excuses, right? I'm gonna use it from a diverse standpoint. We can't have any excuses no more. We've celebrated, and we're celebrating here in Georgia for the last accomplishment that we did. Happened recently, right?
Yes.
We turned blue.
Yes.
The second part of it is we can't have any excuse about anything else. As a diverse people, we have to come together. And I want to speak of pushing forward agendas of finance. Don't be scared of numbers. And I don't care what ethnicity group you are, whoever you are, you have to embrace it and you have to enjoy it. Okay. And understand if somebody's not paying me here at a certain savings account, I need to find a way to make more. The knowledge is there, the people are there. Like Marcus said, you can reach out to all types of people to reach out to gain that knowledge, right? In that we got to do it. It's no excuses. No excuses. We can't have any excuses anymore.
That's good. No excuses. You guys have left some serious nuggets. Share the knowledge with the children. Make sure that they're saving. Include them in the budget. Priority and action. No excuses. What else can we say to the audience? I think you guys have really equipped them in getting their affairs in order in this financial world. And Floyd, you know, one thing, every time I think about you and your family, I always think about you telling me that you guys have a kind of a reunion, a meeting where you got your family invest. I think that is just an awesome way to create legacy.
It is.
And how you guys fund I think you fund the college for your family, for the children in your family.
Yeah. We got 2 breakdowns real quickly. Family Foundation, I set up on the Kennedy Foundation. All my uncles and aunts, we came together. The head of each household became on the board. We meet as a family every 5th Sunday. Every family household gives a certain amount of money every particular month. I have it directly debited in that account. We have grown that account to almost 100K plus. And we use money from that account to pay for 2 things. Half goes to the 529 plan. Everybody who's a Gantt that graduates to go to high school gets $2,000 when they apply. And then the rest of the money, we use it for retreats or different events that we have, and it's refunded back into the account. We continue to build. My goal is get to $1 million one day, $500,000, so we can live off the interest and give more than $2,000 for each child that particular becomes a Gantt that graduates high school. Again, it's not easy, but we set it up. As long as you got like minds, they start to understand money. Don't take a lot. We did $25 starting off per household. That's not a lot of money. Have a direct debit into the account and build from there. And the reason we met because Big Daddy and Big Mama were going to pass away. So I knew they were going to pass away. So I needed a reason for us all still to come back together. We set it up. We still meet as the 5th Sunday and we talk as a family. We share things. We do 2 charitable events. We do 2 events every year. We give to somebody. We do something. We do it as a family. And then we have a retreat. A retreat is not a family reunion. A retreat is where we share ideas. We have fun. But we also come together and we have a nurse, a doctor. She may talk about something else, about helping people with what you do if you're in an emergency. We had a lawyer. She talk about setting up everybody's will and how it's important. So we share ideas also and we come together as a family. And it's been going on for about 14 years now. 14 years. So we're proud of it. And we're going to continue moving it on. And I suggest any family that has like minds, you all start off small and go from there.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I don't know if y'all saw me writing down, but I love it. I love the whole foundation idea.
The whole concept. I remember when they shared that with me, I was like, this is awesome. So I just want to thank you guys for being here, being transparent, being informative, being inspiring. You know, we have some comments over in the comment section of StreamYard. Ricky McCann said, those are my kids. He said, awesome show. You know, some people put up, you know, some whoop whoop and some amen. So just want to let you guys know that they thought The show was very, very good. And I want to just say, I think you guys were incredible. And I thank you for sharing your heart, your knowledge, your experience with them as they prepare to get their affairs in order in the financial arena.
Absolutely.
So to everyone else out there, thank you for joining us. Please join us next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will actually be talking about advanced medical directives, the importance of having those just in case or when we need them. We just want to make sure that you're equipped in every area. So next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please join us for a discussion on advanced medical directives. Live and will. Thank you guys again for watching. Thank you all for being guests tonight. And you guys have a wonderful night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
You too. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.